is VK7 Whiskey on behalf of the Northern Tasmanian Amateur Radio Club. And it's just coming up to 5 o'clock in Tokyo. It's coming up to 4 o'clock in Singapore. And the same in Hong Kong. But in San Francisco, nearly 1 o'clock. And New York, 4 o'clock in the morning. Here in Tasmania, it's now 7 o'clock, same as Sydney and New South Wales. You're listening to VK7 Whiskey on behalf of the Northern Tasmanian Amateur Radio Club. And over the next 30 minutes, we continue with the slow Morse course with the letters that you learnt last week. Now, I should mention, right at the start, all sessions are recorded on YouTube, even though they're being streamed live at the moment, and of course can be played back if you miss the live stream, or you can't make the live stream, or even if you miss a week of the slow Morse course. So they're all there on YouTube. Right. We're going over those letters from last week, Alpha, X-Ray, Sierra, Echo, Tango, the ones you learnt, and introduce new letters for you to learn for next week. And if we get the chance at the end of the session, we'll take a quick listen to see if there are any CW stations out there that have been listening. By the way, some say it's better not to pick up a Morse key and start sending till you've learnt to receive all the characters. That's because you start thinking about sending and it can distract you. Of course, it's your choice. In reality, you're going to be sending letters and numbers in your mind. During the day, if you see a sign or a number plate with a character you recognize, you can practice just by saying it quietly to yourself or thinking it with dits and dars. First, we're going to begin with the manual Morse sheet from last week. Now, this will only be for a few minutes as I've prepared a separate file for those who want to continue using the manual Morse sheet. And that's going to be posted after this session. Then we will practice the letters AXSET, Alpha, X-Ray, Sierra, Echo, Tango, using Farnsworth spacing, where the characters will be sent at about 8 or 9 words per minute, but with large gaps between them. Then as you progress, the gaps will become shorter. Now, have paper and pencil ready to write down what you receive, and also the manual Morse sheet ready with your finger on the start position. Right. Here's the message. Here we go. Here we go. Tango Alpha Zulu on behalf of the Northern Tasmanian Amateur Radio Club with VK7 Whiskey Whiskey at the microphone with the slow Morse course. Now, using the manual Morse chart, what I sent was as follows. That's Uniform Romeo, Romeo Papa Tango, Golf Victor November, India November, Romeo Sierra Tango. Now the abbreviations are your report given in RST. Now, Golf Victor November as an abbreviation for given, Golf Victor November as I'm just checking my microphone gain here, make sure everything's working. Given is an abbreviation I've just made up. You are your Uniform Romeo. Yep, that's well recognised. Report, Romeo Papa Tango. Yep. Golf Victor November. And then India November for in RST. Now RST is readability, strength and tone, which is used with CW, Morse code. Now RST, we only use RS, readability and strength, when we're talking about audio and voice transmissions. Well, the tone is applied to CW, Morse code. If it's as rough as a bear's, if it's a rough signal because you've made a home brew rig and you've thrown it together, well, good on you, but it might be a little bit rough in tone and needs some improvement. So you're not going to get a tone of 9. However, what we're talking about here is usually it's given as a 9. Now, here's a little tip. Sometimes you will hear stations in Morse code, they will send the number 5, which just happens to be 5 dits. Dit, 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 dit. Once you get used to it, it's dit, 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 dit. That was 5. Dit, 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 dit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But number 9 is da, 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 dit, which can be quite long to send if you're sending 599. So, here's the tip. Sometimes you will hear dit, 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 dit for the number 5, and then you will hear a long dash instead of sending the number 9. Dit, 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 da, da, which is a lot quicker than sending the number 9 twice. The other alternative, as a tip, is, just to let you know, people will send the number 5 and then send N for November. So 5 N N. But we're not dealing with the letter N at the moment, so I won't talk any more about it. Of course, when we talk about numbers, numbers all have 5 components. So they're not like letters. The maximum components in a letter can be dits and das adding up to 4. But when you suddenly hear a number, it will become very obvious because they all have 5 components. As I've just said, the number 5 has 5 dits. Right. And just out of interest, 0 happens to be 5 das. Right. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to concentrate on the 5-letter character groups using Alpha, X-ray, Sierra, Echo, Tango. Now these are the letters which you had to learn last week, and I'll be talking about what you have to learn for next week shortly. But let's get on with the CW sent in the Farnsworth method. So you're going to hear the CW at about 8 or 9 words per minute, but with large gaps. And I'm going to send out 9 groups of characters using the letters Alpha, X-Ray, Sierra, Echo, Tango. Now this is not for use with the manual Morse chart. As I said, if you want to continue with that, I've put a recording together which will be posted after this session. Right. Switching to CW, this is VK7 Tango Alpha Zulu on behalf of the Northern Tasmanian Amateur Radio Club. Please stand by. This is VK7 Tango Alpha Zulu with the slow Morse course. Alright, how did you go with copying last week's lesson that you had to learn? Right, these were the groups. There were 9 of them, each containing 5 characters. The first one was Tango X-Ray, Tango X-Ray Sierra. The next one was Tango, Echo, Sierra, Tango, Sierra, or tests, followed by Echo, X-ray, Sierra, Echo, Sierra. The fourth group was T's, Tango, Echo, Alpha, Sierra, Echo. And that was followed by Echo, X-ray, Tango, Alpha, Sierra. The sixth group was seats, Sierra, Echo, Alpha, Tango, Sierra, seats. And the next group, Echo, correction, X-ray, Echo, Sierra, X-ray, Echo. And the last two groups, Tango, Echo, Sierra, Alpha, X-ray, followed by Alpha, Tango, Echo, X-ray, Sierra. Right, there we have it, a bit of practice for the characters you learned last week. Now, the important thing is, which I have to tell you why I put them into character groups, is that if I start using words, and there were some words which I did put in there, like tests, T's, seats, you may have guessed what was coming. That's called journalizing. Please don't try and guess the word, because you'll make a mistake and then you'll miss several characters. And by the way, if you stop and think, what was that one? I know it, I just can't figure it out. Try to just push it aside in your mind and leave it alone. Go on to the next character that you hear. Don't stay thinking on a character. It's one of the bad habits we've got to get out of when we start learning CW. Now, there is a character which I want to tell you about called the error character. And you'll hear this used from time to time on CW, Morse code communications. It comes out as 8 bits. So if you're sending a message and perhaps your CW key falls apart, or you have a twitch, or your hand seizes up, don't worry, just take a break, take a breath, and go back to the last correct word and send the word again that you made the mistake on. But some people prefer to send the error message saying, I sent an error. And the error message is 8 bits. That was 8. Now you'll get used to this if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 bits. Dit, 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 dit. And of course, once you get practice at it, there you are, 8. You'd have to make a recording and slow it down to believe me, but in actual fact you can start by counting it out. Now, not everybody uses the error message in this day and age, but a lot of people do. Most people, when they make a mistake, is just go back to the letter, the word that they made a mistake on, or the number, and start again. So, there's something else for you to consider. Right, for identification purposes, this is VK7 Tango Alpha Zulu with the slow Morse course on behalf of the Northern Tasmanian Amateur Radio Club. Now, next week's letters. Next week's letters are Hotel, Bravo, Delta, India, Juliet. And I'm just going to go through them Hotel Bravo Delta India Juliet. First of all, once at a time, and then I'm going to go through and do 3 times for the same letter. So, here we go. Right, that was Hotel Bravo Delta India Juliet. Now I'm going to send each character, each letter, 3 times, so you get used to the sound of it. This is VK7 Tango Alpha Zulu with the slow Morse course. Those were next week's letters, which I suggest you learn. HBDIJ, that's Hotel Bravo Delta India Juliet. Now, the fact that you've already learned those first 5 letters, Alpha X-Ray Sierra Echo Tango, means that we will be starting to have mixed groups of last week's letters and this week's letters. So when we come to next week, you'll have to deal with AXSET plus the new letters that you've learned, HBDIJ, Hotel Bravo Delta India Juliet. Anyway, just take it easy. I have to remind you of the resources that are available for you to listen to for CW. Of course, the ARRL, the RSGB, and there are lots of apps online and things you can download for practicing CW. Now, here in Australia, we have a 24-hour beacon that runs CW at different speeds, starting at 5 words a minute and working upwards. The Wireless Institute of Australia has VK2 Whiskey India on 80 metres on 3.699. Quite apart from being a great Morse code tuning aid, it's actually very good to see what propagation is like. 3.699. Now, also on a Tuesday night, you will hear slow Morse on 40 metres. Slow Morse on 40 metres. And I know it gets over to the States because I hear stateside stations coming through. And other internationals as well. So, Tuesday nights, in fact, I can't give you a specific time, but it generally starts around about 7 o'clock local time here and goes on into the night. And then you will hear stations not only on 40 metres, but also on 80 metres and even 20 metres. Now that's run by Mark, VK2 Kilo India. That's Mark, Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo, VK2 Kilo India. And you can find his email on qrz.com and ask him if you can join in the newsletter. because what we do is we listen for the stations that we hear on various bands, and at the end of the evening, even if we haven't been able to contact them, but we've heard them coming through, we actually send in a little report which is automated. It's well worth doing, and it's very interesting because it's not just about reports. You get to see what other people are using, their antennas, and the different rigs. This Morse course is not just about learning the code. It's learning abbreviations. It's learning the Q code, and you'll get to learn the protocols. That is, how to have a contact, how to have a QSO. But there are different types of QSOs. There's the conversation you can have on Morse code. There's the rubber stamp contact, which is the exchange of the basic minimum information like name, QTH, report. Perhaps you even talk about your rig and the antenna, and that's it. And then let's talk about a contest contact, where you're even exchanging even less information. So there's a lot more to this Morse code course than just actually learning the characters. And incidentally, we talk about characters being letters and numbers. We've got things called prosigns and punctuation as well. So there's plenty to do on this course. Right, don't forget that the course, if you missed it or you've just tuned into it, we also have a connection on the Discord channel where the audio is live streamed, as well as being live streamed on YouTube, but the YouTube recordings, of course, are saved for future. If you want to join in on our Discord channel, please contact VK7 Zulu Papa Delta, VK7 Zulu Papa Delta, Phil, who is on the QRZ.com site as well. Send him an email and ask to join the Discord channel. Of course, you could also be listening via an SDR, a software-defined radio that's connected to the internet. Right, that is it for this session. What I'm going to do now, in the remaining couple of minutes, is just take a listen and see if there are any CW stations that happen to be around, and I'll ask them to come on and send fairly slowly in case you are listening and get the opportunity to decode their call sign. This is VK7 Tango Alpha Zulu standing by for any station. Okay, we just had VK3 ACU. Did you get that? VK3 Alpha Charlie Uniform. I know we haven't done numbers yet, but at least you could have got the A for Alpha. VK3 ACU. Now, I know Jordan is north of Melbourne, quite a few hundred kilometers away. Anybody else? VK7 Tango Alpha Zulu. Okay, nobody else coming up, but that's fine. And as we progress in this course, I know that there are some stations that have their homebrew 2 transistor transmitters, 1 transistor transmitters that we'll try and get to come up so that we can hear what their signals are like. This is VK7 Tango Alpha Zulu on behalf of the Northern Tasmanian Amateur Radio Club with VK7 Whiskey Whiskey at the microphone. With the slow Morse course, and I'll look forward to catching up with you next week. In the meantime, we clear this frequency thanks to the digital guys who operate very close to this frequency, and we QSY down to 3.567 for the technical net. This is VK7 Tango Alpha Zulu clear.